In the heart of the lush rainforest of Kambora, there was a village called Nyaka. The village was known for its vibrant celebrations and close-knit community. Among its many residents was a young woman named Lela. Lela was admired for her beauty and kindness, but her story took a dark turn due to a peculiar event involving a mysterious dog. Lela had a pet dog named Jabari, who was not like any ordinary dog. Jabari had an unusual intelligence that made him behave more like a human than a canine. Lela and Jabari had a unique bond, one that began under peculiar circumstances when Lela was just a child. One fateful night, Lela's parents, too wrapped up in their own world, left their bedroom door ajar. Curious and not fully understanding the nature of what she had witnessed, Lela found herself experimenting with Jabari in ways no child should. This unsettling practice continued as she grew older, and Jabari, recognizing Lela as his chosen partner, became possessive and fiercely protective. Years passed, and Lela left for the city to attend the prestigious Institute of Kambora. She brought Jabari with her, but as she mingled with city life and observed how other dogs were treated, she realized that her relationship with Jabari was abnormal. Despite her efforts to distance herself from Jabari, she struggled to break free from the unhealthy bond that had formed over the years. Lela met a charming young man named Kwame, who was also a student at the institute. Kwame and Lela grew close, and their relationship blossomed. However, Jabari's jealousy was uncontrollable. He would growl and bark furiously whenever Kwame approached Lela, driving the young man away. During one fateful evening, Jabari's anger escalated. As Kwame leaned in to kiss Lela goodbye, Jabari attacked him, causing severe injuries. Kwame was rushed to the hospital, but Jabari vanished before anyone could catch him. Lela was devastated by the chaos Jabari had wrought. Her relationship with Kwame ended, and she was expelled from the institute due to the incident. Heartbroken and estranged from her previous life, Lela returned to Nyaka, where she tried to rebuild her life. In time, Lela met another man named Kofi, and they began planning their wedding. On the day of their union, as the village celebrated, Jabari made a dramatic return. The villagers were horrified as Jabari charged into the ceremony, tearing Kofi's wedding attire and attacking him. Lela fainted in shock, and Jabari fled before he could be subdued. Lela and Kofi were taken to the hospital, and while Kofi survived, the incident left them both deeply scarred. They struggled to find peace, and Jabari's menacing presence seemed to haunt them. Despite efforts to keep Jabari away, he returned to wreak more havoc. Eventually, Lela and Kofi had a child. Tragically, on a day when Kofi was leaving for work, Jabari appeared once more. In a fit of rage, Jabari attacked the infant, and despite quick medical intervention, the child did not survive. Lela and Kofi were devastated, their lives shattered by Jabari's unrelenting malice. As time passed, Lela moved to a new village, seeking solace and a fresh start. She met a new suitor, named Diko, and they planned to marry. On the wedding day, as Lela approached the church, Jabari reappeared. Recognizing the impending disaster, Lela tried to flee, but in the chaos, she ran onto a busy road and was struck by a speeding vehicle. She died instantly. Jabari, realizing the depth of his actions, mourned Lela's death. With a heavy heart, he disappeared into the forest, never to be seen again. The tale of Jabari became a dark legend in Nyaka, a cautionary story about the consequences of forbidden bonds and the destructive power of unresolved jealousy. Years passed, but the story of Lela and Jabari remained etched in the memories of the people of Nyaka. Elders would recount the tragic tale to the younger generation, warning them of the dangers of forming unnatural bonds and allowing jealousy to consume one's soul. The once vibrant village became more cautious, and people were more protective of their children, wary of letting them venture into the unknown. However, the forest where Jabari had disappeared continued to be a place of mystery. Some villagers claimed to hear eerie howls late at night, echoing through the trees, as if the spirit of Jabari still wandered, searching for his lost companion. Others swore that they had seen a large, shadowy figure lurking at the edge of the forest, its glowing eyes piercing through the darkness. One of the children who grew up hearing these stories was a boy named Musa. Curious by nature, Musa was fascinated by the tale of Lela and Jabari. Unlike the other children, who were terrified of the forest, Musa felt an inexplicable draw to it. He often spent hours near its edge, listening to the sounds of the wilderness and imagining what lay beyond. As he grew older, Musa's fascination only deepened. He began sneaking into the forest, exploring its depths in search of any trace of Jabari or the secrets that might be hidden within. One evening, just as the sun was setting, Musa ventured further than he ever had before. The forest seemed to close in around him, the air growing colder, the trees more twisted and menacing. Suddenly, Musa heard a low growl. His heart raced as he turned to see a pair of glowing eyes staring at him from the shadows. It was Jabari. But this was no ordinary dog, it was as if Jabari had become something more, something darker. His fur was matted and wired, his teeth bared in a snarl. Musa froze in place, unable to move as Jabari approached. But instead of attacking, Jabari stopped a few feet away from Musa and sat down, watching him with a mixture of sadness and longing in his eyes. It was as if Jabari was waiting for something, perhaps redemption, or maybe a chance to make amends for the wrongs of the past. Musa, though terrified, felt a strange connection to the creature. He slowly extended his hand, and to his surprise, Jabari didn't react aggressively. Instead, the dog lowered his head, as if in submission. In that moment, Musa realized that Jabari was not the monster he had been made out to be. He was a lost soul, trapped in the consequences of his past actions, searching for forgiveness. Determined to help Jabari find peace, Musa began visiting the forest regularly. Each time, Jabari would appear, and over time, their bond grew stronger. Musa learned to understand the dog's sorrow, and he started to piece together the fragments of Jabari's story that had been forgotten by the villagers. One evening, under the full moon, Musa brought a small offering of food and water for Jabari. As he laid it down, Jabari approached slowly, his once fierce demeanor now calm. Musa spoke to him softly, telling him that Lela had long passed and that it was time for him to let go of the pain that had bound him to the earth for so long. In a surprising moment, Jabari let out a long, mournful howl, a sound filled with grief, regret, and longing. It echoed through the trees, as if the forest itself was mourning with him. Then, as the howl faded into the night, Jabari stood up and slowly walked deeper into the forest, disappearing into the shadows once again. Musa never saw Jabari after that night. The eerie howls that once haunted the villagers ceased, and the forest seemed to lose its menacing aura. It was as if Jabari had finally found peace, his spirit released from the torment that had plagued him for so many years. Though Musa never spoke of his encounters with Jabari to the villagers, he felt a sense of fulfillment knowing that he had helped the creature find the closure he so desperately needed. The legend of Lela and Jabari continued to be told, but now it carried a new ending, a tale not only of tragedy but of redemption. The forest, once feared and avoided, became a place of quiet reflection, where people would go to honor the memory of lost souls and seek forgiveness for their own mistakes. And Musa, though he never sought recognition, was forever remembered as the boy who helped a tortured spirit find peace. Years passed, and Musa grew into a wise and respected man in the village of Nyaka. Though he never spoke of his encounters with Jabari, his calm demeanor and mysterious connection to the forest became well known. People often sought his guidance when troubled, and Musa, always humble, would offer advice that seemed to resonate with the deepest parts of their hearts. The forest that had once been shrouded in fear became a symbol of healing. Villagers no longer heard the ominous howls that once kept them awake at night, and the thick, twisted trees that had loomed over the village began to give way to new life. Wildflowers bloomed at the forest edge, and the once dark paths through the trees were now dappled with sunlight. It was as if the land itself had been released from a curse. Musa, now with a family of his own, continued to visit the forest. Though Jabari never returned, he felt the dog's presence in the rustle of the leaves and the soft winds that whispered through the trees. One afternoon, as Musa stood at the place where he had last seen Jabari, he noticed something unusual on the ground, a single, perfectly smooth stone. It sparkled faintly in the sunlight, as if it held some kind of hidden power. He picked it up and held it in his palm, feeling a warmth spread through his body. Though he didn't fully understand the meaning of the stone, he knew it was a gift from the forest, a final message from Jabari, or perhaps from Lela herself. The stone, he decided, would be a reminder of the bond they had shared and the lesson he had learned, that even in the face of great sorrow, redemption and peace were always possible. As time went on, the story of Lela and Jabari became more than just a cautionary tale. It evolved into a story of hope, of love, and of the power of forgiveness. The villagers told the tale to their children, not to instill fear, but to remind them of the importance of compassion and understanding. They spoke of how Jabari's love for Lela had endured beyond death and how, with Musa's help, his spirit had found peace. Musa's children grew up hearing the story, and they too learned the value of kindness, patience, and the wisdom of the natural world. The forest that had once been a place of darkness became a refuge for those seeking solace. And though the villagers knew that the spirits of the past still lingered in the shadows, they no longer feared them. Instead, they honored them as part of the land's history, knowing that even the most tortured souls could find their way to the light. In the end, the village of Nyaka thrived, and the people lived in harmony with the forest and the spirits that dwelled within. The legacy of Lela, Jabari, and Musa endured through the generations, a testament to the enduring power of love and the possibility of redemption. And as for Musa, he continued to live a quiet life, always visiting the forest, always remembering the dog that had become so much more than a companion, and the girl whose love had transcended time. Though the village grew and changed around him, Musa remained a steadfast guardian of the story, ensuring that it would never be forgotten. In his final years, Musa often found himself standing at the edge of the forest, watching the trees sway in the breeze, the stone from Jabari still in his pocket. And when the time came for Musa to join the ancestors, the villagers placed the stone on his grave, a symbol of the bond he had shared with the spirits of the forest and the peace he had helped bring to their troubled souls. The forest remained, quiet and serene, a place of memories, of lost love, and of redemption. And though Musa was gone, his spirit lived on, just as Jabari's had, wandering the trees, watching over the village of Nyaka for generations to come.